Well, welcome everybody to the NFL Presidential Address Week 6. I am Lawrence Presman, and I am excited to do this show for you guys. Long story short, I'm in the hotel room in Vegas. Normally, I stare directly at the screen, but it's a little bit of a messy setup, so just bear with us. If you've never tuned into the NFL Presidential Address, basically I go down the board, top to bottom. We'll look at every single game for week 6, and I'll give you my thoughts on every game. After that, we will have Meghan Payton joining us. She'll provide you with some prop bets, and at the end of the show, I will give you 3 best bets. Real simple structure, fun show. Let's get straight to it. Well, first, we got to start with how week 5 went. The most important thing is my clients. My clients went, and I kid you not, 10 wins, 2 losses. I was 10-2 in week 5 of the NFL. My show best bets, 2 weeks in a row winners, 2-1 in almost and leans across the board. 55-43. Great comeback from the bad week 1 and 2. And my circa record, me personally, 17-8. If you buy my all access pass, guys, you will get this all the information provided in this video. Plus, you'll get all my client bets, all my leans, and my circa bets, show best bets, etc., etc. So please take a look at my all access pass. Let's start with the Thursday night game. Washington going into Chicago. It's around a pick 'em. Chicago -1. The total is 38. The bidding war on this game, it must have been a frenzy. I mean, think about how high the ratings are going to be. We're calling this game the insomnia game. Why? Well, I'm going to sleep right through it. Absolutely no bets from me on this Thursday night game. Now we turn our attention to Tampa Bay against Pittsburgh. The total is 43.5. And again, guys, I'm going to make this easy. It's an outright pass for me. There aren't a lot of passes this week, just so happen to be the top 2 games. Now we move our attention to Cincinnati +1.5 going into New Orleans. The total here is 43.5. And let's get to the bottom line. Cincinnati's offense is totally out of sync. This team should have put up a ton of points on the Ravens secondary. The Ravens secondary came into this game dead last, and they played well. I don't know if they played outstanding, but Cincinnati couldn't move the ball. Cincinnati has serious O-line troubles as well. Their defense, however, is really good, and New Orleans is going to struggle to put up 21 points this Sunday. New Orleans showed they can move the ball this week. They had a sort of quarterback by committee with Hill and Dalton splitting time. But I don't think this is a good team. I think they're going to struggle to score all year. Their defense is outstanding. Their offense is mediocre at best. How do you cure a mediocre offense? You play the Seattle Seahawks. That score that they put up was not an example of what we will see in New Orleans games. This game is underwritten all over it. I know New Orleans went over last week against Seattle, but as we said, they played Seattle. Every time they play a great D, they struggle, and this is going to be no different. I like under the total of 43.5 points. Just to let you guys all know, I am taping this show out of my hotel room in Las Vegas. We are going to do a very quick today, so let's just keep moving. Jacksonville +2.5 against Indianapolis. The total in this game is 42. Look, Trevor Lawrence, and might I say, great freaking name. He had his second bad game in a row. They looked really bad against the Texans. As a professional bettor, guys, we got to bet on teams that are consistent. Be consistently bad. Be consistently good. Be consistent in scoring. Be consistent in not scoring. But I can't bet on Jacksonville. I don't even know which team is ever going to show up. Here's the bottom line. Indianapolis is better than the Jags. Their D is legit, top 10 unit. Their offense is their problem, but slowly they are going to come around. On paper, they have one of the best O-lines in football, but have stunk so far this year. This is a team that I think as the season gets going, so will they. I'm going to take the value in this game here. I have a better team at home with less than a field goal. I'm taking Indy minus the 2.5. I'm taking Indy -3 if that's where it goes. Now we turn our attention to New England +3 going into Cleveland, a total here of 42. Take away some missed field goals last week and a couple of stupid interceptions, and I think this is a good Browns team. As for the Pats, I literally told you last presidential address exactly how the game, and it's exactly what happened. I'm not high on the Pats, not with Jones at quarterback, not with Hoyer at quarterback, not even with Led Zeppelin at quarterback. They got to play a bad team last. That's what happened. They played a bad team in a bad spot, and they got it done. I I I can't take New England in this game. There's a ton of value here, and similar to the Indy Jacksonville game, I think Cleveland is a better team. I think they have more weapons. They are at home. It's a field goal or less. I'm going to stick to the home favorite. Take -3. Now we look at the New York Jets +7 versus Green Bay. I liked the Jets last week. I had them as one of plays. This Jets team is much better than expected, and they're showing signs of turning their culture around. This Jets team has won from behind. They've won from ahead. They're starting to come together. Their running game is just awesome. And Zach Wilson is looking, well, in his last couple of games, he looked pretty good. And their D is playing tough. Now they face a Green Bay team that honestly is just bad. Look, I don't want to face Rodgers off of a loss, but if I'm going to, it should be with this current team. Rodgers was 0-5 in passes over 20 yards. They are struggling to get the ball downfield. They lost to the Giants in London. They almost lost to the Pats at home. There is no way you can take the favorite here. I like the Jets at +7. Now we turn our attention to Baltimore, -5.5 against the Giants. As I said at the top of the show, I went 10-2 for my clients last week. One of those losses was the over in the Cincinnati game. It's important to recognize, and this is really crucial, guys, because we're going to discuss this again in Atlanta, and also it is somewhat relevant to the New York Jets. It is important to recognize when teams are making the shift from shit to good, from good to great, from low scoring to high scoring. It is crucial to figure this out before the markets do. And I think this Giants, though they're not going to win the Super Bowl, I think they are for real. What I really like about this Giants team is they're winning in all different ways. They're winning from ahead. They're winning from behind. They were down 14 to Green Bay. Their defense in half of that Green Bay game was unbelievable. Jones is playing good. Barkley is a freaking beast. Who's better, Barkley, Chubb, or the Raccoon? Totally off topic, but interesting question. I don't believe this. I don't believe in this Ravens. Flat out. We finally saw a good effort from the Ravens defense last week, but they're also incredibly inconsistent. I think mediocre at best. And their passing defense specifically is a total disaster. There's simply no chance I can play the Ravens here. -5.5 on the road, playing a 4-1 Giants team. I'm going to make this easy. We're taking the Giants +5.5. As for Minnesota going into Miami, I still know the quarterback is for Miami. I'm going to pass outright on this game. Now we turn our attention to San Francisco against Atlanta. San Fran is -5.5. Last week, one of my two losses was the under in that San Fran game, and it was frankly the wrong call. Now, Bosa might, and that is a monster loss. The Niners have major kicking issues, both preventing big returns and actually putting the ball through the uprights. This Niners team is not perfect, albeit they are better than Atlanta. I know missing Pitts and Cordell is huge, and we saw that against the Bucs. But for some reason, this team is on the rise. Their culture is changing right in front of us. Arthur Smith is doing an incredible job. The team is showing unbelievable fight. They were down big in that Tampa Bay game, Out that stupid Grady Jarrett terrible referee call, they could have had the ball and marched down the field and win the game. I'm going with Atlanta here, guys. 5.5. Now we look at Carolina and the Rams. This is an outright pass for me. I can't come up with any opinion whatsoever. We turn our attention to Arizona. They're going into Seattle. 3 in this game. Total 51. When your offense is struggling, guys, what do you need? No, not more cowbells. You need more Seattle Seahawks. The issue with this Cards team is they just can't get going early. 6 straight games with 0 points in the first quarter. They also always find themselves playing from behind. The Hawks, they've lost Penny. That's big short term. That's a major loss. But how do we bet this game? Easy. Any game Seattle is in, I'm looking to take the over. And I think this is a perfect get spot for the Arizona. There is no way in any other way than the over. The reason people want to look at the under is they'll say, hey, Arizona's been struggling to score. But even the Bears would put up points against the Hawks D. And the Hawks are putting up a ton of points themselves. This is 31-27 written all over it. Take over the total. Now we turn our attention to, well, what could be the AFC championship. What was the AFC? Well, it wasn't the AFC championship matchup, but it was the game of the millennium in the playoffs last year. Buffalo -3 going into Kansas City. The total is dropped to 53. The interesting takeaway from the KC Raiders game is that the Raiders were able to run the ball all over Kansas City. They put up 154 yards on the ground. Keep in mind, Kansas City was missing 3 D linemen. But it doesn't matter against Buffalo. Buffalo's not going to come out and run the ball 154 yards on the ground. It's just not going to happen. Just like Kansas City. And we saw Allen comes out, 98-yard TD pass to Davis, then a 60-yard TD pass to Diggs. Josh Allen is an absolute beast. This offense is ridiculous. The Bills came into week 5 with 13 passing plays, 20-plus yards this season already. And against the Steelers, they had 8 passing plays, 20 yards. Put that in perspective. Green Bay had 0. They tried 5 times. They had 0. Buffalo, they had 8 passing plays over 20. Where do you go in this game? You got to go square. We're taking the over. I know this number is high, but man, we got there easy in KC and Vegas. That was my 5% Monday night play. And I just can't see these teams struggling on offense. This game is 30-31 written all over it. And that still gives us 11 points to spare on that total. Take over in the Buffalo KC game. Now we look at Dallas, +5 against Philadelphia. I'm assuming Cooper Rush is going to play. But I will say this. With Cooper Rush, Dallas +5. With Dak Prescott, I'm not touching this game. The Philly O-line is the key to this team, and they have injuries all over it. And that is the key in this handicap. Imagine a offensive line with injuries having to deal with Micah Parsons, Lawrence, and that incredible pass rush that Dallas has. Dallas is going to wreak havoc in the backfield of Philadelphia. Last week, we took Arizona against Philly, and they covered. This week, we're going against Philly again. I know they're 5-0. I get it. I know they're a really good team. I get it. But +5.5, Dallas has owned the NFC East in head-to-head matchups in the last 4 or 5 years, and Dallas has owned the Eagles. Forget Aaron Rodgers owning Chicago. Dallas has owned the Eagles, and they're getting 5 points. I'm going to take it. Division game in the NFC East. All these games are usually tight historically. You're going to give me more than a field goal with it one of the best, if not the best defense in all of football? Let's go there. Dallas +5. As for Denver and the LA Chargers, I got nothing, guys. that's a pass for me. Now we're going to get Meghan Payton to come in and give us some props. And then the show best bets. Thank you guys for watching. Stay with us because, Meghan, the mic is yours.
Thank you very much, Prez. I have 3 plays for you this week. As always, we're starting in Thursday Night Football, a game everyone's just so excited for. That's the Commanders versus the Bears. My first prop is wide receiver Terry McLaurin over 48.5 receiving yards. McLaurin has had 55 or more receiving yards in 4 out of 5 games this season. He had 76 last week against the Titans. And as disappointing as this Commanders offense has been, they're still somehow 10th in the league in terms of passing offense. I like McLaurin over 48.5 receiving yards. Number 2, we're going to find all the ways to take the overs on a game that's really expected to be unders. I'm taking over 2.5 receptions for running back David Montgomery. Montgomery had 4 receptions last week against the Vikings. He had 3 receptions in week 1. This is a riskier bet. I'll just be honest with you, Prez. This is definitely one you aren't 100% sure on. But I'll tell you this, I'm finding this bet at plus 130 on multiple sports books. It's absolutely worth it. As much as Justin Fields has been struggling, and it's really bad, I think that David Montgomery can get 3 receptions this week, Thursday night. Last bet I have for you is Nick Chubb over 20.5 longest run. This one is a no-brainer. Now, I'm finding that number right now, his player props not listed yet. If you see it, 19.5, 20.5, take the over. Nick Chubb has had over 20 for his longest run in every single game this season. He had 41-yard run last week. It's only getting better for Nick Chubb, and I don't think Vegas has caught on to this yet. So if you see him anywhere in the 20, even 21.5, take the over for Nick Chubb's longest run. We're taking all the overs this week, Prez. In conclusion, we've got the over on Terry McLaurin's 48.5 receiving yards. We've got the over on running back David Montgomery's 2.5 receptions. And we are taking the over on running back Nick Chubb's 20.5 longest run. Back to you, and have a great NFL Week 6.
Thank you, Meghan Payton. Guys, real quick, I'm in a hotel room. I know the video's been a bit jerky today. We're trying our best to get the NFL Presidential Address to you this week. I'm not at home where I have great Wi-Fi. We can only do. I really appreciate it. Mostly, I appreciate all the comments that you guys take the time on, even the negative comments. Some guy last week said my record was spectacular. I don't even know what that means to this, but it sounded like a insult. Maybe it was spectacular. Whatever the case may be, I appreciate you taking the time to comments. You want one of my teasers? I haven't done any of the teasers this week, so they're going to have to come in my all access pass for my clients. Same with my prop bets. But I do have 3 show best bets for you guys. Let's start right there. We're going to go with Cincinnati and New Orleans under the total of 43.5. We're going to go with Cleveland minus the 3 points. And we're going to go Indianapolis Colts minus 2.5. Those are the 3 best bets for this week. It's a privilege to do this show. Thank you for watching. Make sure to share it with your friends, like our channel, subscribe to our channel, and make sure to comment. I'm Lawrence Pressman. We'll see you for week 7. Namaste.